I don't know what kind of tone I was originally going to do for this video, but I think I'm just gonna not speak as seriously because editing it back, it sounds a bit cringy, you know. I just kind of want to give my opinion on a game. I don't want to read an essay, sort of thing, and that's how it came across. So that's just what this bit is at the start of the video, and now it's going to switch to the actual video. There's a game called The Red Strings Club. It's a visual novel, point-and-click, narrative-based game with a distinct cyberpunk setting. It takes place in a distant future where the human race relies heavily on implants to alter moods, like effects on others over social media and things like that, and it nullifies their need for social, personal acceptance in society. It's a game that revolves entirely around talking to people within the world. Play like an almost detective-like role through the main character, which is he's called Donovan, the bartender of the fittingly named Red Strings Club. You have to make tough decisions that impact your ability to uncover other bits of information, cover up potential routes to get this bit of information, in order to get that bit of information, sort of thing. But every decision uncovers a little piece more information about the world we're playing in the game. Your choices seem to have impacts on not only the world, but every character that you actually speak to. You get to see their emotions develop. See them change as characters, for better or for worse, throughout the game as a result of what you say to them. I find that on its own insanely cool in any game where you can actually feel the weight of your choices, sort of thing. Not just you make a choice, one bad thing happens. No, it's I don't know how to word it apart from I genuinely connected with the characters and I genuinely was upset at some of my choices and looked back on my actions. And of course it's a game, but I don't know, I was really immersed and really impressive writing. The game itself, though, is very short and significantly shorter than a typical game, and I spent just over 4 hours to go through the entire storyline, but don't think this is a bad thing at all. In fact, the shortness of the game truly highlights just how well written it is, because I was sucked in from the first minute until the last, when I actually closed the game past the credits. The writing is, for me, the true standout highlight of the entire game, and it's just one of those experiences in games that leave you thinking about it long after you've pressed close, long after you close the book on the Red Strings Club. For actual gameplay mechanics, they're very minimal, but it's fascinating. Every mechanic's completely different with the three main characters, and they all have their own standout gameplay mechanics. So there's a character called Brandeis, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but he's able to mimic voices, to manipulate people over the phone and things like that, to drive information out of them, to further your investigations into the world, or that sort of thing. Then you have Akara. She's able to synthesize body implants and install them inside of people to alter the decisions they make throughout their life. So for making an example of that up, she could make a selfish businessman really empathetic, sort of, and then he would turn his business into a more charitable sort of business. That sort of vein of thing is what I'm talking about here. Then there's my personal favorite character, Donovan. He's a charismatic bartender who has the unique ability of making literal soul-touching cocktails, and they focus in on a specific emotion, such as pride or anxiety or regret. You choose to make a drink to focus in on any of these emotions, and then you choose a line of dialogue that fits this emotion, such as asking if something is harmful and you've made the person feel regret. Another example is that you can choose to amplify the person's pride with a cocktail, leading them into potentially oversharing about a subject to try and boast about their accomplishments. In my opinion, the gameplay as a whole is definitely not the focus of the game. with it being much more of a visual novel, which fits in with the outstanding writing the game has. Anything more in depth on the gameplay side, for me, would take away from the character building, the world building, and our personal connections to this overarching story that they're building. The game takes place almost entirely inside of the bar, the Red Strings Club, with only a few scenes taking place elsewhere, and yet the size of the world, you can really feel it. And the developers have done an incredible job of that. They only let you see fragments of the outside world and let us piece together the rest in our minds, and it works really well. This was very effective for me, as I immediately took inspiration from the likes of Cyberpunk 2077 and Blade Runner 2049, with the world and the setting I mean. Big colourful neon cities with corporate entities being the ones in control. This is something that many fully developed AAA studios struggle to do with their games, even the ones where you can walk around a fully 3D environment, which is just a testament to the fantastic job that Deconstruct team did when making this game. The 2D pixel art style fits very well with the tone of the game, not being overly graphic, but also not being dull. If you combine this with the game's superb sound design, the Red Strings Club ticks all the boxes for me. Visuals, sound effects, and especially the soundtrack, they all combine together into the cocktail that is the masterpiece of this game. I've deliberately tried not to delve into the story too much, and I've shown little gameplay as possible in order to not spoil anything, in the hopes that people genuinely see this and try the game for themselves. If you're looking for a narrative-based game where you can immerse yourself in a world, where you can connect to characters, and where the gameplay takes a back seat in order to prioritise storytelling, then the Red Strings Club is definitely for you. I truly believe that the execution of what this game set out to be is perfectly done, with zero flaws, and I can't recommend enough that you give this short masterpiece a try. Personally, the Red Strings Club is a 10 out of 10.